I don't believe music is a universal language, but rather that musics are languages. There are more musics than there are languages. And it's wonderful to learn a foreign language, because if you can actually express yourself in a foreign language, there are certain things that you can say in that language that you can't say in the other ones, like your own language.
Beautiful, man.
Misty by Earl Garner.
Okay.
So I like that about music, really.
A little bit?
I do, yeah. The funny thing is, I got called a phone interview by a recruiting company for a finance job, and I had no idea there was a Japan connection at all. It was just a recruiting company in San Francisco, and she was discussing on my resume, and it said she wanted to know about my degrees in Asian Studies from the University of Hawaii, and she could see that, I said that I had a Japanese major and Asian Studies major and stuff, and so she wanted to know, about my Japan experiences. I had scholarships, area studies, Japanese area studies, and so then she said, would you mind if we chatted for a few minutes in Japanese? And I thought, I said, no, that'd be fine. But then I thought, Lord, help me retrieve some of my long lost vocabulary, because I was pretty good 21 years ago when I got my master's degree, but I've hardly even used it in years since.
Some musical roots in Japan.
Well, it was one of my major areas of study as an Asian Studies major and an ethnomusicologist at the University of Hawaii. It wasn't my only area of study. But it was Japan. I'd always been interested in Asian cultures as far back as I remember. My parents always had National Geographic, and in the early 60s, the articles on different Asian countries would be so amazing, and the pictures would be fantastic. You'd see the pictures of the musicians in the traditional dress and the dancers in their traditional dress, but no Asian country in particular. Maybe it wasn't Japan, but when I was at San Jose State fooling around, in the 80s, early 80s, young woman from Japan, and she said, "I'm an exchange student from Okayama, Japan. We're sister cities with San Jose." And she said, "You know, are you interested in Japan? You could try out and maybe be an exchange student to live in my city, Okayama, Japan." And so I tried out, and it turned out I got it, and enrolled in beginning Japanese. I aced that first semester of Japanese. I just took a semester of Japanese at San Jose City College just in case I got accepted. And I did get accepted. And as I'm about to go to Japan, we're at the airport, we're about to board the plane, and two Mormon missionary guys came up to me and said, "Ah, this is the first time in Japan?" And they wanted to talk Japanese to me, and I don't know, you know, Mormon missionaries, they got themselves some serious edumacating. Because, man, they said, "Can you speak some Japanese?" And I said, "Yeah." I thought I was pretty good because I had gotten 100% on my Japanese final exam for my first semester of Japanese. But I could not talk to these white bread Mormon missionaries, but they could just really shaberareru, yoku shaberareru in Japanese, man. So
Which means
they could really chat. They could really speak it. Yeah.
Wow.
So probably there's levels and levels. I'm sure that once they got there, people probably thought that their style was too forceful and not really very Japanese style, but they had the vocabulary really, you know. So there's so many levels. Japanese is also about the body. It's a very physical language. You can't say, "Oh, I'm very pleased to meet you," or "I'm very sorry," without bowing, yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, you'd be perceived as being rude or arrogant or sarcastic or facetious if you said, "Oh, I'm terribly sorry," but there was no hint of a bow, a prostration there. So I took crap from all my Chinese friends when I toured China as a Beijing opera performer, because all my years of Japanese studies, I was fluent in Japanese language. And even though I wasn't speaking Japanese or in Japan, but I got introduced some dignitaries after a performance and stuff. I'm on stage there, and it's just natural. I know these are important people. And I'm shaking my hand, and there's some of that there, and you know, and they caught me on videotape. And later they're going, "Look at Eric. He is just like a regular Japanese, isn't he?"
Thank you.
I'm trying to think of a children's song. I can't think of it. I've fallen out of touch with my friends in Japan, and it breaks my heart because I have friends. I lived for a year in the Chiba prefecture, and that's not that close to Fukushima, but it is on the Pacific coast in that more or less central zone. And I know that they went liquid on March 11th. 2011 too, you know, and they've got stories to tell. I'd really like to get back there and talk to them about it. But
have you tried? Do you have any way?
Well, I have one friend I'm really in touch with now. I've succeeded in getting in touch with one long lost friend in the other place I have roots in Japan, Okayama, which is more sort of south central. And so between the two of them, I'm going to just keep working to try it. one of the next recordings of my own project that I'm hoping to get done is my version of a Japanese traditional song that every Japanese knows called
Really?
Shitaguni no Haru, and it means spring in the North Country. But really, it's just a song about he's left his hometown and he has a job in the big city. But you know how nostalgic he feels. He wants to go back home, and also there's a girl there that he used to know. I wonder how she's doing. And
Interesting.
I remember my brother and my dad, you know, would hang out and have sip sake and stuff. And I just want to go back. And so every Japanese, you know, even the ones who didn't necessarily like that song in particular, they would understand that feeling of you know, I think they'd be touched by my feeling of by singing that song, you know,
I've got to hear
how
it.
much I really want to go back. You know.
I've got to hear this now.
So
Yeah.
it's the feeling of natsukashisa or nostalgia.
Have you recorded it, or are you in the process of recording?
I just got the basic track down. I'm working on another song right now, but I'm tentatively planning that as soon as this second song in the project, Under the Boardwalk's the first one,
I like
Fruits
that.
of My Labors is my second one, the Lucinda Williams song. I'm about maybe 2/3 done with that, and then I'll do that video about it. I like the old touches too, that remind a person of old San Francisco, you know, like that light pole. The tree itself and that light pole, you know, that's old San Francisco.
Yeah, you don't see that too much anymore.
Music from Eric Golub that you might see in the future, hopefully in the near future. One that I'm very proud to have been a part of.
Change.
Very proud
is a
to
good
have
thing.
just stepped back and said, this guy can do this. This guy does not need anything else. He's got it all. All that I want to do is just give him the opportunity to do his thing. And when you let Eric do his thing, man, there's nothing like it. So it was a very spiritual time, very spiritual song. And I think anyone that listens to that song, and anyone in the future that is going to listen to that song is going to get that same feeling. It's a very spiritual feeling. It is really a break from the rap and from the dance and even from the pop. But I still consider it a big pop song. And I do believe that this song should be a #1 hit out there somewhere. So.
Here it is, San Francisco. What else should I play? I played Taps for the Federal Reserve. I Left My Heart in San Francisco because I always do.
What else
I
touches your
played
soul?
If You're Going to San Francisco, Be Sure to Wear Some Flowers in Your Hair.
I love that song. Great
Me too.
song.
That was written by a famous guy for a friend of his. And the friend of his had a big hit song with it and then disappeared and was never heard from again. But it worked famously well for the purpose. Nice London plane trees too. Well, I could do this all day, but if I were going to do it all day, I ought to put my case out there and
You're right.
see
Put
if I
a
can
little
get people
hat.
to put 5s and 10s in, you know?
You never know.
Yeah,
Especially since there's a bank right there, you know, they can just go and
that's right.
get a little cash.
Please go right to the ATM, get 20s, baby. Yeah.
Only 20s.
Second thought, skip those 5s and 10s, baby.
You're right. 20s only.
Yeah.
Absolutely right.
Nice.
I like that. Does that take you back to,
Oh
your,
man,
to your music days?
That's a Hohner clavinet,
Okay.
electric keyboard with a wah-wah pedal. I mean, that
Wow.
was in
Electric keyboard in 19...
Hohner clavinet. Oh, in the 70s, that's what we played. Everyone had
I love that.
everyone had a wah-wah in their
Yeah.
band. I've had recordings I've been putting online where my viola had a wah-wah pedal, the electric piano had a wah-wah pedal, the guitar player had a wah-wah pedal on it. The Vibes player was playing electrically, maybe with a wah-wah pedal. I saw Miles Davis in '72. His trumpet had a wah-wah pedal. His sax player was playing through a wah-wah pedal. His guitar player was playing through a wah-wah pedal. His keyboard player was playing through a wah-wah pedal. His bass player was playing through a wah-wah pedal. He even had an electric sitar player, and he was playing through a wah-wah pedal. And they were all wow, wow, wow. It was the wildest thing. But that was very 70s.
Yeah. Where can people get some of that music?
Wah-wah pedal?
No, some of the music that you
You
put out.
can just look for my name, Eric Golub, in your favorite search engine. Golub, yes.
Eric
If you put in a keyword like jazz viola, you know, because there's other Eric Golubs. There's a blogger, comedian with that name, and there's a filmmaker with that name. So you put in viola or ukulele or something, and then you get my SoundCloud or my YouTube or my MySpace or my Facebook fan page or something. So yeah, the diversity is confusing, and I just like that really, 'cause